If you've dealt with any kind of TMJ or jaw pain, if you feel like you get tension or hold tension in your jaw, this could be a really good exercise or activity for you to try. Today we're going to be talking about ways that you can do some self-massage to help combat TMJ pain. Now, of course, these are great in conjunction with some other things like the Rockabato 6 exercises. You can find another video for those on our YouTube channel here. But let's get back to the self-massage techniques. For the first two, we're actually going to be working inside the mouth, and for the last one, we're going to be working on the outside. So of course it goes without saying that if you're going to be working inside your mouth, make sure that you've washed your hands really good. Probably even prefer to have trimmed nails, as for one of them in particular, it gets pretty uncomfortable if you've got nails on your fingers that dig up into some of those areas. I'm going to be using a glove just so you can see a little bit better contrast of what I'm doing. So let's talk about a couple of important things before we get into the actual techniques themselves. First, we want to make sure that if we're massaging into the side musculature of our jaw here, that we're avoiding massaging over kind of this lower portion. We actually have a salivary gland that sits down in this area. If when you're working in this spot, you feel like there's an area that is kind of grainy or really rough feeling or kind of bumpy, that means you're over that gland, so you want to move off of it a little bit. For this first technique, we're going to be using a grip like this. We've got our thumb out and our first and second fingers out straight as well. We're going to come into that tissue, grab it between our fingers like so. You can either rub it against one another, or you can just kind of grab and pull a little bit. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. I prefer to have my thumb inside and fingers on the outside, just because that feels a little bit more comfortable for my wrist and hand, but you certainly could choose to go the other way around if that feels more comfortable for you. So let's see what this first technique looks like. Thumb inside a mouth and fingers on the outside. As I do this, I want to make sure that I'm staying up and back, kind of towards the top teeth back in here, and then coming down into this area as well. The other technique inside the mouth is using your pinky finger. So with this, you're going to come up and just slightly angled upward, just past these top teeth. Sometimes if you have a lot of tension, it can be hard to get up in there. So if you really focus on letting that jaw relax, it'll let some of those muscles relax a little bit and lets you get up into that space a little bit better. Now this is an area that can feel pretty tender on a lot of people, so be kind to yourself when you're working in this area. So I'm going to get my pinky finger up in there and kind of come up and in and massage up in there, mostly with the tip of my finger. It looks like this. Just like that. So now that we're done with the glove, we're going to be working on the outside part of the head and jaw area. So we actually have a muscle that attaches down into the jaw space that helps us with things like clenching down and with chewing. That muscle goes up into this part of our head and it lays sort of like this on the outside of the head, almost like fingers splayed. So if you think about how we're going to massage in that area, we're going to come up and come across and kind of massage back and forth over those fingers of that muscle. And you can use either hand to do that, whatever feels comfortable. You can also do little circles. But as you do this, you might find some areas in here that feel a little tender or feel particularly tense. Another thing that you can do, it sounds kind of weird, but it does actually work. You're going to come in, grab just a little bit of hair in the area, and gently pull away, holding for a couple of minutes at least. And what this does is that little bit of tension through the hair and hair follicle will help stretch some of those different layers of tissue that all lay over top of this area and help to kind of stretch it out a little bit. So hopefully these techniques will help you using some self-massage for your jaw pain, and then again, especially in conjunction with that Rockabato 6, which you can find elsewhere on our YouTube channel.